I think one of the most exciting things about this playoffs, especially in the second round, are the matchups. I love me some T-Wolves Nuggets. Yeah. That's a fun matchup. I can't wait for Mavs Thunder. And then the East, it's this one. Pacers and Knicks, game 1 at Madison Square Garden coming up on Monday night.
What makes you so excited about this?
It's just this.
Anything Knicks right now, I'm all for.
Oh yeah. It's the clash of styles, right?
Oh.
I mean, the Pacers want to get up and down the floor. They want to run. The Knicks, they want to control the pace. They want to play tough. They want to control the glass. They want to play good defense, and you let their defense create their offense. I'm really eager to see what it looks like. My first thought on this series is I just like the Knicks in it. To me, they've got the level of toughness, and I think at this point, it's easy to say they've got the best player in the series going into it. Jalen Brunson has been an absolute dog.
Yes, dog. I mean, it's as easy as that. And I think when you do look at having that person set the tone for your team, and your team that has a very locked in identity all season long, and you've only elevated it the more and more you've played together. This Knicks team with him leading it, I'm there. I'm with you. And I think too, because you look at the Pacers and you've seen the changes over time. You've seen Tyrese Halliburton's ups and downs in the season. You go, what kind of Pacers team are you going to get? And when they are playing well together, things can get scary too.
Well, the one thing we know that they can do is off missed shots, they can get out and run, right? And the transition game is everything, because then you get the cross matches, Halliburton in transition with his passing. If he can knock down some shots in this series, would be huge. If the Pacers get stuck in the half court, it's going to be problematic. But they have enough weapons, right, with the shooting that they can have at times with Halliburton. Miles Turner's been really good in the playoffs. I just don't know how much to pull from that Bucks Pacers first round series, just because the Bucks were so weird. No Dame for most of it, no Giannis. It was just a weird setup.
Yeah, and by the way, I still felt like the Bucks team as a whole could have been good enough.
I mean, this series still went 6, right?
And I just feel like that was a team that didn't have leadership. And it's not just because their main guys in their health. It's also how are they acting on the bench? How are they contributing just even on the bench with their leadership or their energy or anything? And so it was definitely weird. And the Pacers got shit done, and they did what they needed to do. And I felt like a lot of guys contributed to the success of the Pacers in that series.
Obi Toppin had a big game 6. TJ McConnell was massive. And that's one area in this series that I think could sway things a little bit for the Pacers, is just their bench play. I think that they can have a little more punch off the bench, where, Tom Thibodeau's been playing 7 guys. Does he dip more into the bench and go, hey, we got to play Alec Burks a little bit. We got to play Precious Achiuwa a little bit in this series, because this Pacers team wants to push the pace. Now, I'm very curious with some of the matchups too. I think it's going to be fun to see OG go head-to-head with his former teammate, Pascal Siakam. These two are probably going to be guarding each other, but OG can also defend multiple positions. So I'm like, there's a part of me that gets a little concerned with Miles Turner and Hartenstein trying to defend him because of Turner's ability to hit the 3.
Okay.
Do you put Hartenstein on a different matchup and maybe, put OG on to Turner at times?
It's interesting. I don't think that's a completely irrational thing to put out there. And I'm sure Tibbs will absolutely make any adjustment that he needs to make. I mean, how many times did we see that in the last series when Hartenstein wasn't even on the floor and they went with a smaller lineup with OG on the big, and it worked. It screwed with it screwed with the
Sixers.
Thank you. It screwed with the Sixers and what they were trying to do with their game. So if you see that, fine. But OG on Pascal, that's you got to start there.
Yeah.
That's where you go, and you got to irritate the hell out of Siakam and slow down the way, like you said, slow down their game. slow down, put them in that half court offense. So they have to think a little bit more. And this is a team already that we've talked about that has the identity of a fast paced team. How many times when we were looking at the Sacramento Kings last year and they were the fastest team in the league and it was like push the ball. And if anyone starts slowing them down, it just took them out of their game.
With the Pacers, who's going to check Jalen Brunson? I imagine, like, if you go back to the regular season, you had Nembhard on him at times. You had Aaron Nesmith on him. But Brunson still put up numbers.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the challenge, is just like, this is what Brunson's doing. It doesn't really seem like it has mattered who teams have put on him. He's playing like one of the best players in the game. He has such great patience and can get to his spots. And you know that the Pacers can give up some points in the paint. I wonder if they're going to make sure, like, almost overplay the paint a little bit and force others to be like, hey, we're going to force Josh Hart to make threes. We're going to force DiVincenzo. We'd rather those guys knock down shots than Brunson kill us.
Yeah. And do you think that the Pacers defense can actually manage that? And I asked that
they've had some better moments.
They have, but
in the year.
Jalen Brunson gets what Jalen Brunson wants. And I think that's been one of the most fascinating things about his game, not only throughout this entire season, but then you saw it in that matchup in the postseason, right? So he's doing it on the biggest stage now where he's still able to get to his spots. Teams know where he wants to get. So when I look at this roster and I go, okay, you think about Nembhard, that's a tough guy. He'll be physical with him, but is physicality actually going to take Jalen Brunson out of his game? I think he's used to physicality. I think it's not going to rattle him. He can still stay composed, but you're exactly right. If you slow him down, then other guys are just going to have to make sure to make their shots on some of those three opportunities.
Now, the other thing, too, is they have to make Tyrese Halliburton work defensively.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an issue for the Pacers in this series is, Halliburton's defense has not improved really at all since being in the NBA. He plays the passing lanes well, but teams are going to go at him. This is when he takes the next step as a player, it's going to be because his defense gets elevated a little bit and he's able to break down his man a little more on the offensive end. But if you're the Knicks, that has to be like, hey, we got to target him. We have to go at him.
Because I would like to see how the Pacers are going to play there. Are they going to switch everything? If that's what they're doing, then obviously that's who you would target on the Pacers roster. I mean, when they're playing defense. So yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm sure he'll be fine and figure it out. Like, he is one of their best players. He will be staying out there on the floor, whether they are seeking him out or not. So the Pacers, Rick Carlisle will just have to make those adjustments. I mean, I doubt it's going to be like, all right, we're automatically going to go into a zone. It will be something as simple as like, we're not switching that shit. Stop switching that shit. Like, they're looking for Halliburton on the defense end.
Well, I think the key in this series is going to come down to rebounding. When the Knicks are so good on the offensive glass, creating the second chance opportunities, those are just soul-sucking. And just rebounding in general, because that's the other thing. Although the Knicks want to slow down the pace, we've seen it this year. Josh Hart is one of the best transition players in the league.
So good.
When he can get out and go, it's a problem big time.
He just turned on the Jets. He weaves. He gets there.
Yeah.
And even if he's getting there and it's too late, he finds a way to make that pass to the open man, whether they're trailing all the way down into the paint or they're trailing for three. Like, he is just such a he plays very fast, but he's played more and more under control, especially under Tibbs.
My gut going into the series, I'm taking the Knicks in 6. I think the Pacers are tough enough. I think that they've seen some different types of environment that they'll be able to win a game or two here. But I think playing at Madison Square Garden is just a different level. Those lights are bright there. The atmosphere is going to be absurd. They've got the home court advantage.
Yeah.
And I also think the Pacers aren't necessarily like ready for this yet. And it's fine. Like, they don't have to be. This is the start of their journey, and for them to just be in the second round and get this experience, get these reps. Like, Siakam's got experience in the postseason, but a lot of their young guys, they just don't have it. So Halliburton, getting these moments in big spots where your games are on TNT, they're on national TV, you're playing at Madison Square Garden, you're playing against a team that's tough and plays awesome defense. If I'm a Pacers fan, of course you want your team to win. But this can just be so valuable just to get this experience, too.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, now you're going in the second round of playoffs. You said goodbye to the Bucks.
Yep.
And I know you're automatically taking the Knicks in 6 in the series. I think it's going to be interesting because if Tyrese Halliburton can play like the star player he was playing like in the beginning of the season before he ended up having that injury.
Yeah.
Ever since that injury, shooting has been up and down, and then we're finally like, oh, he's getting better. And then you still see moments where it's like, well, he's not there. He's invisible on the defensive end. You know, so like what kind of Tyrese Halliburton can you get in this series? And if he's knocking down all those shots, those big momentum plays, well, then we're going to have a fun little series.
And that's what I'm saying is like the Knicks will miss shots.
Yeah.
That's why rebounding is huge. So if the Pacers are getting rebounds and going, and we've seen it with the second unit too. I love some of the energy. One, Tyrese when on the run. Siakam likes running the floor. Toppin likes running the floor. Toppin facing his former team too.
Yes.
You know, a little more juice there for him. McConnell has had impacts in series. So like
absolutely.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a fun one. You know, I think most people are like, oh, this is going to be an easy series for the Knicks.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be compelling. I do.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. I think it's also going to be compelling. I think you have some competitors out there on both squads. Like both squads to me, when I look at their rosters and I look at the personalities there, I'm like, there's so much heart. There's two guys in Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton that play with so much goddamn joy, and that alone will make this series so fun to watch.
Let us know, what are your predictions for this series? Who do you like? Let us know in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast